Deep in the heart of a humid tropical jungle, a quiet morning was suddenly shattered by a terrifying sound. A gentle mother cow, peacefully grazing near a small river, was unaware that death was lurking only a few feet away. Hidden beneath thick grass and fallen leaves, a giant python had been silently watching her for hours. The huge snake, one of the largest in the region, was waiting patiently for the perfect moment to strike. The jungle was calm, birds were singing, and sunlight filtered through the trees, but danger was closing in fast. The mother cow was not alone. Just a few yards away, her newborn calf rested beside a tree, too young to understand the danger that surrounded them. The mother's only concern was keeping her baby safe. But suddenly, the silence broke with a violent hiss. The python shot out of the grass like a lightning bolt, wrapping its thick, muscular body around the cow's neck and torso in seconds. The attack was swift and brutal. The cow let out a cry of fear and pain that echoed through the jungle, startling nearby animals and alerting the villagers who lived close by. Her desperate screams reached a small group of brave men who worked as wildlife rescuers in the area. Without hesitation, they grabbed ropes, bamboo sticks, and machetes, and ran toward the direction of the cries. They knew every second counted. When they arrived, the sight before them froze them in shock. The enormous snake had already coiled tightly around the helpless cow, its shimmering scales reflecting the sunlight. The cow was struggling to breathe, her eyes wide with terror. The rescuers knew that if they didn't act fast, she wouldn't survive. One of the rescuers shouted for another to hold the snake's tail. Two others moved cautiously toward the cow, careful not to provoke the python into attacking them. It was a dangerous mission. One wrong move could cost them their lives. The python was powerful and aggressive, tightening its coils each time the cow moved. The rescuers worked quickly and fearlessly, using bamboo poles to pry apart the snake's grip. The air was filled with tension as the men fought against the strength of the reptile. The ground trembled beneath them as the snake thrashed wildly, trying to strike back. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat poured down the rescuers' faces as they struggled to free the cow. Finally, with one last coordinated pull, they managed to loosen the snake's grip just enough for one rescuer to slip a rope around its neck. With great effort, they pulled the snake away from the cow, pinning its heavy body down with poles. The giant python hissed and coiled angrily, but it was finally under control. The cow collapsed onto the ground, gasping for air, her body trembling from exhaustion and fear. The rescuers immediately poured water over her to help her cool down. She lay still for a few minutes before slowly lifting her head. Her calf, who had been hiding behind a bush, came running toward her, crying softly. The sight of the calf pressing against its mother's face brought tears to the rescuers' eyes. It was a moment of relief and gratitude after such a terrifying struggle. Despite the deep marks left on her body from the python's coils, the mother cow had survived. The team carefully carried the weakened cow back to the village, where locals gathered around to help. They cleaned her wounds and made sure she was able to stand again. The villagers couldn't stop praising the bravery of the men who risked their lives to save her. Later, the rescuers released the python back into a distant part of the forest, far away from people and livestock. They knew the snake was not evil, it was simply acting on its natural instincts to hunt. By relocating it, both animals could continue to live safely. As the sun set over the jungle, peace returned once more. The mother cow rested beside her calf, while the villagers shared the story of the daring rescue. It spread quickly through social media, touching the hearts of millions who watched the footage. People from around the world admired the courage, compassion, and humanity that shone through in that moment. It was more than a rescue, it was a reminder that kindness still exists even in the wildest places on Earth. In a world where survival often means taking life, this story showed that sometimes, saving a life is the greatest act of strength.